Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this episode, we are going to take a look into the new setup. A comment that I had from Skills Trademan, he wanted to have me do a walkthrough of my setup, which I thought about doing, but I'm gonna do you one better. I'm gonna take you back through a little bit of history, and then I'm gonna show you the 2023 setup. Let's go. I was trying to figure out a way how I wanted to present this. I tried to do slideshows and video editing and all the rest, and it was just a little frustrating because I couldn't get the pacing right. So what I wanted to do is take you guys down memory lane. Now the first setup that I'm gonna show you guys is not my first setup. My first studio setup was back in 2007. I had a studio basement set up and a booth off to the side. This is before everybody had cell phones that could take pictures and kind of document everything. So kind of the early access of my music production, I didn't get too much documentation of it. So we're gonna start down my first documented studio location. Oh my Lord. It's bad. Oh, it's almost embarrassing. Circa day 2012-ish. So I had a Vizio TV. I still have these monitors. They're actually in the garage. A PreSonus studio amp, a Liquid Sapphire Pro 56, which I still have. That's a long story. These are the original Mackies that I was talking about. These Mackies lasted a long time. They sounded great. Man, look at all the junk. There's a carton. Here, let me zoom in. Hold on. All right. Cigarettes, yep, that sounds about right. Obviously there's no music production happening there, but you can see Pro Tools, PreSonus on there. Oh man, this is the lava lamp. Can't have a studio without a lava lamp. A whole bunch of junk. This actually wasn't a studio set. This isn't my studio setup. A great producer that I worked with back in the day, Manny Beats. If you want to take it back even further, he got me into music production. The guy's an animal when it comes to making beats, absolute animal. And you know, we started with an MV8000 and then the MPCs and then all the analog gear. Great producer. Recording. There's your booth. Here's the recording booth. That's the microphone. And this actually, I still have this microphone. This is the AKG 214. Here's the studio setup. Not so bad. So at this time, we were smoking King Mountains, Marlboro knockoffs. This is the PreSonus. This is the first Focusrite that I ever had. And honestly, it worked great. It was Firewire, which everybody thought was, you know, the great deal back then. Preamp was the PreSonus, still with the keyboard. Right here, recording in Pro Tools. Here's another, man, I did not take care of my setup. It's a blurry photo of us recording a song, same setup, and things started to get a little bit better. Then I found this, because this was in an apartment complex, this was a room setup. I found this desk outside of a dumpster, and I was like, why are they throwing this thing away? It looks so good. So I was able to put together the setup and make it look a little bit better. Man, I thought it was so cool hanging up that PreSonus right there. but you could tell virtually most of it's all the same. So after that, we started a recording studio, laptop. I didn't make beats on this thing. However, I don't know if you guys remember a little place called SoundClick where everybody used to sell beats on. And I think these were like Ludacris's headphones. And this is 2013. So this time we didn't have the booth ready, but we had a kind of a makeshift setup, put up the studio foam, 2013, 10 years ago. It's crazy times. Same mic. Then we actually built, man, these pictures are so bad. They're so blurry. Then we built a studio booth. Now this thing was a lot of work. I'm not a carpenter, but me and my buddy, we built it, we textured it, we put it together. We started adding a little bit more equipment. We had another MIDI controller, the Akai controller, I think this thing was. Oh man, that's hard to tell. A little core pad drum controller. The tower was first built down here. But this booth, I like this booth. This was one of my favorite booths. This window we picked up from a used place that salvaged windows and doors and fixtures. This window cost me like 30 bucks. All the materials, everything together to build this thing was probably around $350, $400 at the time. Not bad. You see that guy right there? That is battery. That's what, battery 3, I think. This was the jam back in the day, battery. I just wanted to pull that up. This is when we started kind of putting things together. Tower, my brother helped me build that tower. Still a lot of the same equipment. And we started kind of picking up some analog gear. This was things starting to come together a little bit. What is happening over here? What's up with Batman? I forgot about Batman. And this, I believe, is when we started getting heavy into Ableton, 2013. The Avalon. I picked up the Avalon. I was so excited to get this guy because I was extremely focused on music production. I wish the picture quality was better, but you know, that fresh, brand new, expensive piece of equipment, this was the first thing that I bought. Then we realized our desk space was not big enough, so we went to Lowe's. We picked up plywood. I had the guy cut it there. I had him all the measurements, and then we hand did this thing. My buddy lacquered it up. The whole place was so strong just to get that sealant on there. I mean, we had to air it out. It took at least a day before we got back into that booth. And this is when we started kind of putting things together. That's a buddy of mine, Trash Hardy, an amazing producer. And I'll introduce you guys to him again on this channel. Ended up picking up some dual TV screens. I think these were like 40 inches. You know, started decorating. Look at that, Circa Day 2013. Cut Calhoun. We got Ritz. And we got a Stranger's Converse. These are things as they kind of progressed. Buddy of mine, Shane, obviously, this was a recording setup. We did a lot of production out of this place. Then 2015 came around and I wouldn't say stopped doing music. I stopped wanting to be an artist and wanted to move forward with production. So eventually started tearing down this booth. That's a buddy of mine, Rich. I actually have a music video that I shot of his on my channel if you want to check that out. I'm going to put a link up there for you guys. But yeah, no, that was a sad day, taking all that down and leaving this place. We found another location, and in this location was a nice setup. It was, you had a main hall right down through here, so we had 3 production areas and a booth. If you watch this channel, or if you haven't watched this channel, I'm gonna put a link up here for you guys. This is where my YouTube journey kind of began when it came to music production. This was This was the first setup. Did my first machine unboxing out of that location, 2016. And then the view. So it was a 2-story building, and each one of the rooms just had a beautiful view that overlooked the city. This was by far my favorite studio location. That guy right there, I've had this guy for a long time. Keyboard, still hanging in strong right over there. The other favorite thing that I had about this location is we had a fully separate booth. So out of each recording studio, you could run into the studio booth. So if you were there, everybody could use the booth for audio production. It was great. We had the black lights on the side, and we had a guy come in and actually paint the roof with neon paint, and he did all of these different space nebula settings, and the picture really doesn't do it justice, because when you were in there and you turn on the black lights, they just glowed. It was an amazing studio booth. My favorite studio booth that I've had. The first one was nice. This one was just like in your face. And this was basically kind of my final hurrah making music for a long time. 2017, this was kind of the start of the channel, and then we lost the place. The owner of the building sold it. Then the new owner waited till our lease was up so they could go in and basically gut the whole place and sell it or rent each space out for a lot more money. This was kind of a hard blow for me, because after I lost this place, I kind of lost the motivation. And you'll see right here, I still have these speakers right here, 2017. A lot of this equipment went and sat in storage for a long time. And we had our son, and I focused on family for a long time. And no matter how much work and everything that I tried to do, there was something missing. And it took a while, but I realized what was missing was music. So that's gonna bring us to today's setup. Let's go. So the setup all kind of starts with the Novation 61 SL MK3. This is where I like doing majority of my production when it comes to making music. Now here I have my machine studio. I'm gonna do a review why I've never upgraded it. I think it's a great piece of equipment. Plus when you pay what I paid for it, you probably would hold on to it as long as you can too. Still an amazing piece of equipment. Here I have my Ableton Push 2. Now I know it's not an Ableton Push 3. Of course it would come out, but honestly, the Ableton Push 2, this thing is an amazing piece of equipment. It is kind of the centerpiece when it comes to my production. Don't mind the wires in the back. At some point, I'm gonna figure out exactly how I want to kind of hide all the cables. But this right here is the brains of the operation. My brother and I built this computer. This has a Ryzen 3900X, 32 gigs of RAM, a boatload of hard drive space, and an MSI 2080 in it. But this is my baby. And the amount of VSTs in here are ridiculous. Now this is my Arturia 88. I am absolutely obsessed with this MIDI controller. Nothing to take away from the SL. The SL is great for production, but I really started dabbling into just playing the piano, and the weighted action on this thing is absolutely amazing. Maybe at a future date, I'll do a review on this. I really don't like jumping into reviews too soon. I like really having a piece of equipment for a while and then kind of sharing my thoughts, but this is definitely a highly recommended MIDI controller with an amazing piano weighted key bed. And on top of my Arturia MIDI controller, I have a Novation Launchpad Pro. This is probably my first type of MIDI controller that's like this. And ultimately, I love this thing so much and how easy it worked with Ableton, but I felt like it was missing something, and that's ultimately what led me to picking up the Ableton Push. It's still great. I still use it. When I'm playing on this side, I still have, you know, control function of Ableton through this Launchpad Pro. I have my Focusrite Scarlett 18i20. This is an amazing interface. I can't rave enough about it. I do love the dual headphone jacks on here. I know I'm in a different studio, but before I used to have a booth, I could run a headphone jack inside the studio booth and then have one here and turn down the studio monitors to get real quiet recordings. This is an amazing piece of equipment, an amazing interface. Right below it, I have the ABLETON 737 SP. This guy, when I was doing a lot of audio recording and a lot of music production with vocals, recording songs, is an outstanding piece of equipment. Unfortunately, right now, she just kind of sits as eye candy until I get back into more audio production, which songs will be coming soon. Hiding off into the corner is my Mackeys 8. Honestly, I don't remember the exact models that these are, but I think they're amazing. They sound great. I haven't had any issues with them. My last set of Mackeys lasted me for years, and that's the reason why I went back to get another pair. In here, I just have a shotgun mic, nothing fancy. I have an AKG 214 that I was using for recording vocals, but this is just something that I use for, you know, video gaming and things like that on Discord. As far as the monitors, I have dual HP monitors. These guys I really enjoy just because of the whites that they pull. So I was doing a lot of video editing on here, and the whites on here are great. Up top we have the TV. This is the 60-inch Sony. I put that guy up there to put, you know, for video gaming and, you know, setting up different screens and things like that. It's a really good add-on to the studio. And this guy right here is my lava lamp. Obviously he hasn't heated up enough yet, but every studio I've had, I've always had some form of lava lamp hanging out somewhere in the corner, so it's just kind of been a tradition to keep. The other thing is art, wall art. You gotta have some form of wall art. Give yourself a nice little ambience, nothing crazy. We're going straight guerrilla style with the shots. Now these guys in the back, I do have a nylon guitar and electric guitar. I'm more of a keys guy. I like to dabble on the guitar. You know, we're getting there. Now, one of my favorite features that I do have in the studio, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lamps that I use. It's lifts, lights, and this guy is fun. You just have an app that you can go to your themes, just like that. Change the whole setting. Now the lights are a little expensive. However, when I was doing my research, I just decided to pull the trigger on these things. The app is definitely huge. Sometimes just setting your tone through lighting is probably the best way for me to get into some sort of vibe when it comes to making music. Well, that's it. It's pretty brief, but 2023 home studio setup. I will eventually take you guys over to the outside recording studio that I share with a couple of fellow producers, amazing producers. we'll have a whole different series where I'm going to do introductions to great producers that I work with in the community, different artists. There's going to be a whole different series working with those guys. So stay tuned for that content. But if you enjoy this content, make sure to like, subscribe, smash the thumbs up button, turn on that notification bell so you can stay up to date on all the latest episodes. If you enjoy this content, check out that video and that one over there. We'll see you on the next one.